Wake up. New line. I like to eat. Eeples and baninis. Go to sleep. All right, it worked.
Hi everyone, welcome to the MyRSILife.com YouTube channel. I'm your host Mitch, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial of Dragon Professional Individual 15 for commanding and dictating on your computer. This tutorial will be fairly comprehensive, so feel free to use the time markers in the video description to skip to the part that is most applicable to your situation. And I am pretty much self-taught though, so if any of you is really a super expert with Dragon, naturally speaking, Dragon dictation, please feel free to comment, let me know what you think, and if you have any other tips I missed. So you kind of heard me say this a little bit before. Dragon does primarily two things. It controls your computer with what we call commands, and then it also writes down your words, which is what we call dictation. So pay attention in the video when I say whether I'm commanding or dictating. Part one is the setup, and you can see on the screen here the recommended specifications by the creator of the software, Nuance. We need 2 to 4 gigabytes of RAM. I personally use 16 gigabytes. You need 2.2 hertz Intel dual core or equivalent AMD processor. I use an Intel Core i7 1.3 gigahertz, and it works really fine. It recommends 8 gigabytes free disk space, and then a Windows version 7, 8, 10, or 11. Then it says here, faster processors yield faster performance, and that makes sense, right? The more RAM, the better processor, and the more up-to-date other programs you have, like your internet browser, the better your products will run. Just like the computer hardware, the higher quality mic will provide higher quality results. So let's talk about microphones for a little bit. You can buy them on the Dragon website. If we go here, you can, bundle them with one of these products. But this one looks kind of expensive, and I haven't tried this one. What I recommend here is the SteelSeries Arctis 7 Plus, which you can see I have Velcroed stuff here for my head mouse. For my PC and dictation, I use the Blue Yeti or Yeti Blue, which works pretty dang good. For a long time when I first started using Dragon, I used the Jabra Evolve, but it worked really well for about 2 years until the battery would no longer take a charge. So that was a bummer, and I had to get a new one, but it worked well for the time. So I'm interested to hear from you in the comments as well if you've tried Dragon with any cheaper options of microphones. These are the ones that I've tried. And here is an expert tip. Whichever USB connector you're using, whether it's Bluetooth or whether it's a cable, plug it directly into the computer USB's port. I found it won't work as well when you connect it through a dongle or through a splitter. You'll need to purchase and download the product, which you can do here. I'm showing on screen. It's $500. My number one tip for folks who are using Dragon dictation for work is to ask your employer to pay for this fee. If it's a necessary tool that you need for your work, then you could probably justify asking for the work to make it a business expense. So when you first get the product, you'll set it up and download it, and it'll look like this. And it will bring you through this tutorial for checking your microphone. And it's gonna go through this. I'm not gonna go into super detail. It'll make you read this out loud into your microphone. It does that to accuracy tune, and it does that to adjust the settings and adjust to your personal surroundings and microphone. And that's how you set it up. Now you're ready to start using Dragon. So the first thing we will do with the Dragon tool is command the tool itself. So I don't love this first part, but it does take a click to activate the tool at first. Use a dwell toolbar like this one here shown from Abilitaire, and it just helps you pause and click. You can click it and activate it. And now it is listening to my voice. You can see it's green, and it's got this little sound that is picking up sounds from my microphone here. Go to sleep. So what I demonstrated there was go to sleep, which you should do anytime you're done commanding and done dictating. It's a pretty good habit to get into, is to, whenever you finish work, even briefly, you get up or you talk to a neighbor, just say go to sleep so that the microphone doesn't open up that window like you saw and start doing funny things. Tip 2, with regard to that functionality, the same thing can be accomplished if you just mute on your microphone, and that's another way you can just stop the input into your computer. So now we can activate it again pretty easily by saying the command wake up. There we go. Now it has woken up. Click cancel. Go to sleep. And we can deactivate the tool by saying microphone off. Wake up. Microphone off. I'm gonna show you a menu which can be handy if you forget some commands or just need a quick tutorial, a little refresher. It's called What Can I Say? Wake up. What can I say? Show navigation commands. Anyway, you can read those when you open up the What Can I Say menu and just kind of surf around and see the basics. I encourage you to just go explore those settings on your own, compare them to this video if you'd like to. Let's go to part 3 now, commanding your computer. So what surprised me the most when I first started using Dragon was just how powerful it is at controlling your computer. In this demo, I'll show you how to use Dragon to do most basic functions like surfing the net, opening and closing files and programs, saving stuff and navigating File Explorer. And one of my favorite tips, one of my favorite things that I do all the time is command keys and command keyboard shortcuts. And there are so many to list. I will list a bunch of resources in the description below, but you will see a bunch in this video, and hopefully you can adapt these into your Dragon dictation routine as you see them. But here on screen, I will show you some of my most used, and you can just pause the video and write them down if you need to. One of my favorite tips for serious experts out there who want to use Dragon seriously is to make flashcards. Literally, I made these flashcards with pen and 3x5 note cards that I just kind of ripped in half. Windows X, U, S is a shortcut that you can do for Windows. Anyway, made flashcards for that. Flashcards looks like a big stack for Google Chrome here. Here's Microsoft Teams. Pretty handy if you use that for work. And then Zoom, use that all the time too. You can say press spacebar, you can say press enter, you can say press escape. Very, very easy to do those kinds of things.
Hey everyone, I'm back. I unfortunately lost some footage, or it just didn't turn out so good for this part 3. So we're gonna pick up where we left off. Notice too, I am outside in the breeze. There may be noises from traffic. There may be, things out there. So I wanted to show that you can, in fact, use Dragon in this kind of environment. Just make sure you run the check microphone activity when you switch that environment. So let's get back into our demo here. We're going to use Dragon to open a program and use some shortcuts and other commands to surf the web. So let's just get started here. Wake up. Open Google Chrome. Wikipedia.org. Press enter. Gibbons. Press enter. Go to sleep. Gibbons, by the way, are my favorite animal. Wake up. Click link. Choose 13. Click link. Press escape. Click Bangladesh. Click back. Press down. Press down. Press page down. Go to the bottom. Press page up. Press page up. Press up. Go to the top. Go to sleep. So you can see there we're using our voice to input keys. As you get more practice, you'll get your flow. So let's show you some more stuff here. Wake up. Press Control T. Click Spotify. Go to sleep. You can listen to music while you're dictating. If you have the right setup, I may do a video on that later, but just use it at your own risk, and it may not work correctly your first time. So let's just keep going here. I'll show you some other things. Wake up. Press Control T. My RSI Life. Press Control 1. Press Control 2. Press Control Page down. Press Control Page up. Press Control 3. Press Control W. Press Control Shift T. Go to sleep. A lot to show there. You saw me shifting my selection of tabs by voice. You saw me close a tab and reopen that same tab with one of my favorite commands, press Control Shift T, or keyboard shortcuts rather. Press spacebar, of course, was pause and unpause Spotify. Just some cool stuff there. I wanted to show you. Okay, so now that we have shown you how to surf the web a little bit, let's open up a file or a document. We're going to open up a Word document and then save it into our File Explorer. We're going to name the file and all that stuff. Wake up, open Microsoft Word, click blank document, press Control S, go to sleep. You can also say click File, click Save As, whatever your preference is. Wake up, click More Options, click Browse. Dragon dictation tutorial example. Capitalize that. Click Pictures. Click New Folder. Press Escape. Press F2. Dragon dictation tutorial examples. Capitalize that. Press Enter. Press Enter. Click Save. Go to sleep. So you can see Dragon can read your menu in the File Explorer. So that's pretty cool. So that's some basic computer commands. I guess there's a few more. We should show you the Alt-Tab and List All Windows commands. So that's how you can select which application you want to use at a given moment. So let me show you that one. Wake up, list all windows. Choose 2. List all windows. Choose 8. List all windows. Go to sleep. So list all windows, you can see here, it numbers each of the windows that you have open, and you can just say choose X, choose 8, 7, 6, whichever one is labeled, and select the one you want. Now there is a keyboard shortcut which I love. It's called Press Alt Tab, or if you're using your hands, you can press Alt Tab on the keyboard, and that toggles between your last 2 most recently used applications. So let's try that. Wake up, click Cancel, press Alt Tab, press Alt Tab, press Alt Tab. Go to sleep. There you go. Now you're surfing your Windows computer with ease. You're saving files, you're surfing File Explorer, you're selecting which application you want to run, all with your voice. So it's awesome. Okay, let's get into part 4, dictation. We're finally going to start telling Dragon what to put onto our document here. So let's just start writing a little story here. Wake up. Once upon a time, comma, there was a little girl named Little Red Riding Hood, period. Capitalize Red Riding. She was walking through the forest one day to visit her grandmother with a basket full of fresh baked treats, period. New line. She arrived at grandmother's house and knocked on the door, period. She heard a voice from inside, open double quote, "Come in, my dear," exclamation point, closed door. Scratch that. "Come in, my dear," exclamation point, close double quote. Select commit. Choose 2. Go to the bottom. New line. Little Red Riding Hood, capitalize that, saw her grandmother laying on the bed looking sickly, period. New line. Open quote. "My, comma, what big eyes you have," exclamation point. Close quote. Little Red Riding Hood said, capitalize Red Riding. Choose 3. Period. New line. Open quote. "All the better to see you with, my dear," close quote, said the grandmother. Period. New line. New line. Go to sleep. So I'm not going to, dictate the entire Little Red Riding Hood story for you here, but that's the basics. You saw me enunciating all of my punctuation and my new lines. Quick note, you can say period or you can say full stop. That's another way you can dictate the period. So I show you some other things here for formatting. We'll make a list. Wake up. Grocery list. Capitalize that. Underline that. Select that. Press Control B. Press Control B. Bold that. Italicize that. Press Control Z. Go to sleep. I tried to press undo, press Control Z. It didn't exactly work with my italics here. Let's try again. Wake up. Select grocery list. Press Control I. Press right. New line. Click numbering. Apples. New line. Bananas. Capitalize apples. Select bananas. All caps that. Select bananas. Choose 2. Go to sleep. When you select that, when you use the command select that, or select, insert your word, you saw that menu there, and there's all sorts of things you can do there. So let's just check that out real quick. Wake up. Select bananas. Go to sleep. So what you can do here, it'll have some options for you with capitalization and alternative spellings. You can say choose 1, choose 2. I've seen as many as like 10 suggestions, which is pretty cool sometimes. You can also spell that if you don't see any of your options listed there, and some other options that we're not going to get into. But just play around if you're using Dragon and trying to learn how, just see what those do. And again, I will list some of my favorite dictation commands here on screen as well. Okay, now let's get into part 5, some advanced functionality. By now, at this point in the video, you are an extreme pro at Dragon dictation. You can open Microsoft Chrome and surf the net and open files and dictate into them and then save them wherever you need to within your file explorer, and that's pretty great. But there are some awesome things I need to show you that will take you to the next level. And the first is a custom phrase. Dragon is really good at knowing the English language, but there's certain things that maybe your workplace uses or proper nouns in your family or things like that aren't in the Dragon vocabulary. So we're going to show you how to create a custom phrase. And I'll do this in 2 ways. The first way, we will spell it out and then save it. And the second way, we will have Dragon analyze documents to learn the vocabulary. Let's teach Dragon how to recognize the words eeples and beninis. If you ever remember that song from when we're learning the English vowel sounds, we can sing the song. I like to eat eeples and beninis. All right, I'm going to stop singing there. Well, let's test this out and see if Dragon already knows this one. Wake up. I like to eat eeples and beninis. Go to sleep. So right there you can see it doesn't know what to do. It didn't recognize the words. So let's train the Dragon to recognize eeples. Wake up. Select equals. Spell that. E-E-P-L-E-S. Click train. Eeples. Click save. Eeples. Scratch that. Go to sleep. It's as simple as that. We'll list the steps here as well. Wake up. Select Berninis. Spell that. B-A-N-A. Press backspace. E-E. Scratch that. E-E-N-E-E-S. Click OK. Go to sleep. I have noticed sometimes Dragon can have trouble recognizing individual letters, you may just need to experiment and sometimes use your stylus or your fingers to use the keyboard. Wake up. Select Baninis. Spell that. Train. Click train. Baninis. Click save. Go to the end. Go to sleep. Okay, now let's test out this whole sentence and see if we can make it work. Wake up. New line. I like to eat. Equals and Baninis. Go to sleep. All right, it worked. That's awesome. Now you can see Microsoft doesn't like it, but hey, Dragon knows it. That's all we really care about. Now I will show you how to have Dragon select your document and read it and know the words in it. So this one, we'll just do the next verse in our song here. I am going to use my hands to type. Make sure you're using correct posture and budget appropriately your keyboard time. But let's just spell this out here, and you can see on screen. Wake up, press Control S, go to sleep. So we've saved our file, and now we're going to tell Dragon to go and learn the words in this file. Wake up, press Alt F4, go to sleep. We're going to use this menu called Learn from Specific Documents in the vocabulary menu. Find unknown words, adapt to writing style, next. Add document. We saved it in pictures just for this demo. Dragon dictation tutorial example. It has our banunus and ooples in it. And then next. You could say click next. You don't have to do this with a stylus. So check it out. It's working. Wake up. Click next. Go to sleep. Now we're going to check these boxes here. Check all. And we're going to teach. Now they're in our vocabulary, but Dragon needs to know how we enunciate them. Check the words you'd like to train, and then click train. So we're going to train these words. Wake up. Click next. Click finish. List all windows. Press escape. Open File Explorer. Click Pictures. Press Enter. Click Dragon Dictation Tutorial Examples. Press Enter. Click Dragon Dictation Tutorial Example. Press Enter. Maximize window. Go to the end. I like to oot, ooples, and banunus. Go to sleep. All right, so that worked. We've got ooples and banunus now in our vocabulary. So use that. Maybe you have a giant inbox full of emails with your boss's name and your clients' names, and your proprietary vocabulary is in your inbox. And Dragon can know that. Dragon can know how you work very, very easily. So now I'm going to show you a cool tool called Custom Commands. These are where you can say a command that you make up, and it will put in a string of text that you can customize. Tools, manage custom commands. So here are all of the custom commands that I've built so far. We have insert my zip code, insert my address, insert my email. Right? I'm outside. You can see, like, I don't want to be dictating my sensitive information. I don't want strangers or people in my office or snoops to hear what my personal information is. So you can save your personal information in these custom tabs. So let's show you how to create a custom command here. We go to Tools, Add New Command, Command Name. So let's just create this here by voice. Wake up, insert Little Red Riding Hood story. Capitalize that. Press tab, press tab, press tab, press tab, press tab, press tab, press tab. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Little Red Riding Hood. Capitalize Red Riding. Period. blah, 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 the rest of the story. Period. Click save. Go to sleep. Let's check out our custom command. Wake up. New line. Insert Little Red Riding Hood story. Go to sleep. Hey, it worked. So you can have your special characters, you can do your email with the @. Use this as a resource for you to make custom commands. Now, there are some things that I will mention that's more advanced. We're not going to go deep into it in this video. I may do more later. So you can see the command type in here. We have auto text, that's what we just did. But then there's other things like macro record that records your clicks and your keystrokes. Step by step, we'll learn more about that later. And advanced scripting. If any of you knows Visual Basic or VBA, you can actually command Dragon to execute those scripts. Pretty easy, and that's seems very similar to what I showed in another video about creating batch files to automate your computer. So anyway, I wanted to introduce this. I won't go into detail in this video, but there you go.
The last part here, part 6 of the video, is preventing voice strain. And just like any tool that we use with our computers or in the workplace in general, you need to use it correctly and you need to use it safely. Voice strain can happen. You can get RSI in your voice just by being a talker, a singer. Many occupations get voice strain just like computer users who use a lot of Dragon dictation. So you can prevent voice strain the same way you prevent other repetitive strain injuries. You need to take a lot of breaks from your desk and take a break away from the microphone. Sit and stand with correct posture while working. Stay hydrated. Exercise regularly. Stretch and foam roll and get massages. And try to lead a balanced lifestyle. And don't become a workaholic and don't become a dictation-aholic. For voice strain prevention specifically, make sure you speak clearly, enunciate, don't speak too fast. You may see, I'm speaking really fast and it doesn't pick up my commands. That's all just wasted breath. So if you speak more accurately, you save your breath and that's strain on your voice. Not too loud, of course, either. Do vocal warm-ups. If you're using your voice to work every single day, make sure you do some vocal warm-ups, look them up on the internet. I'm not gonna demo them here for you today just yet. Of course, when you need to get a lot of work done, do what I do, where I will type a little bit, not too much to strain myself, especially once you've started to recover a little bit, and then I will take a break and come back and switch to voice. Then I will go to some meetings or something, or go to lunch. Try to work in that balanced way where you're always moving, standing, sitting, and kind of being safe in that way. So in conclusion, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. I'm excited to talk more on the channel about Dragon dictation. What specific Dragon dictation demonstrations would you like me to showcase on this channel? Leave me your thoughts and comments below.